and welcome. Thank you for watching this little mini instruction on the spaghetti lab, which is what we're going to be working on or what you're going to be watching be done today. You're probably watching this video if in fact you were absent from school when we did this assignment in class. So it's going to basically be your way to make up the lab if you're sick or quarantining. And I just want to make sure that you understand all of the content. So today's activity is called the spaghetti experiment, following the steps of the scientific method. So our purpose or question is kind of centered on this concept of having this setup that you see in front of us. We have a stack of books. We have a metric ruler. We have some pennies. We have this kind of cup being held together with a pipe cleaner. And then you have some uncooked spaghetti. So if you know anything about spaghetti when it's uncooked, it's pretty rigid. But what we're going to do in today's activity is I'm going to kind of show you how the lab is to be done. And you're going to be collecting data as if you were here in class. So you might not be able to see me fully, but you'll be able to see the experiment. So your first thing, it says, if a spaghetti strand is supported by 2 stacks of books and pennies are added to the cup hanging from the spaghetti, does the distance between the stack of books change the number of pennies the cup can hold before the spaghetti breaks? What will happen to the number of pennies that the cup can hold as we make the distance between the stack of books smaller or wider, okay? Or so closer together, further apart, right? So the question that you have to write on your lab sheet says, or you should add, does the distance between the stack of books change the number of pennies the spaghetti can hold? Okay, so I'll repeat that. Does the distance between the stack of books change the number of pennies the spaghetti can hold? So please write that down under your lab sheet. If you need to pause and rewind, please feel free to do so. Now your hypothesis, you're going to make a guess. So this is kind of how it's going to look. Okay, you're going to have the spaghetti. It's going to hang. There's going to be a difference. We're going to start out with 10 centimeters between the book. So let me record that. There we go. Make sure it's as even as possible, as accurate as possible. All right, so that's 10 centimeters. 10 centimeters. Okay, make sure all the books are actually lined up. It's not just the top book, because that's going to influence your results. Okay, so what is your hypothesis? Your hypothesis is an educated guess. So it's usually done in an if-then statement. So you have something tangible, something testable. So your hypothesis or your educated guess might say something like, if the distance between the books increases, then the number of pennies will also increase. Or if the distance between the books decreases, right, is smaller, then the number of the pennies will increase, meaning that there'll be more pennies added when they're closer together, and when they're farther apart, there'll be less pennies. That's what you have to decide, kind of following that if-then format. So if you go down underneath materials, we have all the materials ready to go: ruler, stack of books, paper cup, or pennies, and then our pieces of spaghetti. We're going to actually do in total 9 different trials. It's really important in science that we do multiple trials to get accurate and precise data. So that's why we're going to do a couple trials at each distance. You guys are going to kind of watch and record the trials respectively. So we're going to use the ruler as it just says in the procedure. Mark it 15, stack of 5 books, 15 centimeters apart. Hang the cup from one piece of spaghetti, which looks like this. Okay. Place the piece of spaghetti on top of the books like a bridge with the cup hanging down from the middle of the spaghetti. One at a time, add the pennies until the spaghetti breaks. If the spaghetti does not break, then retest. Record the number of pennies in your data table, and then repeat this experiment 2 more times and record your results in the data table below. Using a calculator, find the average of your 3 trials. So let's start the experiment. We're going to add one by one the pennies to our cup. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16, 17, 18, 19, 20. Oh, it just broke. So your first trial on the top of page 2 is going to be 20, okay? At 20, it broke. So trial 2 at 10 centimeters is 20 pennies, Okay, remember, no naked numbers. All right, so let's try that again. We have our broken spaghetti. We're obviously not going to use that one. And empty out the pennies and do the same exact thing. Repeat the same procedure. So we have our spaghetti, we have our cup, and we're going to start to add. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16, 17, 18, 19, 20. 20 again. So for our second trial, 20 pennies. Okay, dump the pennies out. Remove the broken spaghetti. And let's do our last trial at 10 centimeters. Here we go. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16, 17, 18, 19. That was 19. Okay, so let's do 19 pennies. Okay, so now for this second part 2, you're doing it at 15 centimeters. So you're keeping the same procedure. The only thing that you're going to change is the distance between the books. So I'm going to move them a little bit farther apart. Let me put my pennies back in my bag. And let's move it to 15. 15. There you go. All right. So let's get our new trial. New spaghetti strand again. You're working on that second row in your data table. And this is at 15 centimeters. Let's get our pennies and let us begin. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11. Oh, 11. I had to sneeze there. Pennies. 11 pennies. Hold on, let me sanitize real quick. Okay, so that was trial 1. We're going to do the same thing. Remove the broken spaghetti. And we're going to start trial 2. So you're going to hang the spaghetti with your cup. And I'm going to add again. So here we go. Count one by one. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 13. Okay, and now let's do our last trial at 15 centimeters. Here we go. Trial 3. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15. Oh, I'm going to consider that a break. That was, there you go, 15. 15 pennies. Okay. All right, so that was our second round at 15 centimeters. And now let's do our last one, which is 20 centimeters. So let's do here. We're going to separate them just a little bit more. Again, try and be as accurate and precise as possible with your measurements. We're going to do 3 more trials. Again, same cup, same kind of method. The only thing that's changing is the distance between the books. So here we go. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. Okay, so it's actually hitting the ground. So let me grab 2 more books. Okay, let's still check the. Make it 20. Yes, make it a little taller for this one because it looks like. Let's redo that one. Maybe we need 6 books instead of 5 books. Let's try again. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. That was 7. 8. There we go. 8. Okay. Okay, so this is at 20 centimeters, trial number 2. Here we go. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. There you go. 8. 8 again. And our last piece of spaghetti. Last trial. We did 9 trials in total. Oh. So our first 2 trials were 8, 8, and 8. So let's see what this number is going to be. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 8 as well. Okay, so now that you have your data, what you're going to do at this time is for trial 1, I'll just repeat. Trial 1 for 10 centimeters was 20, 20, and 19. So trial 1 was 20, trial 2 was 20, trial 3 was 19. For trial 15, it was 11 pennies. For trial 2 at 15, it was 13 pennies. And for trial 3, it was 15 pennies. And then for the last one at 20 centimeters, which is your largest distance, it was 8 pennies, 8 pennies, and 8 pennies, right? So you're going to calculate your averages. So the last one's pretty easy since they were all the same. So it's at 20 centimeters, it was 8 pennies average. 11 plus 13 plus 15 divided by 3. That's how you calculate an average, is 13. 13 pennies. And then this one's going to be a decimal. 20 plus 19 divided by 3. 19.6 pennies. Okay, so now what you're going to do based on what this little experiment or the experiment that you saw, you're going to answer the experimental design question. So number 1 is, what is the independent variable in this experiment? What did you change? Okay, what is the dependent variable in the experiment? What did you measure? What did you calculate? What did you count? That should help you for number 2. What are the constants in this experiment? What did you keep or do the same in each trial or in each experiment? And you're trying to find at least 5. So they're your constants. 4, repeated trials. How many times did you repeat the experiment at each distance? And if you recall, we did that 3 times, and we did that 3 trials per distance. So it was a total of 9 times. So why? Why was it important for us to do that instead of just going with 1 trial each? Number 5, how did the distance between the books change the number of pennies you needed to break the spaghetti? Did your results support or reject your hypothesis? Remember, we talked about in class, it's okay to be wrong. It's okay to reject your hypothesis. Just tell me what you should have done differently. Okay, so that's number 6. And then what is your conclusion about this experiment? What can you infer from your data or summarize your experimental findings? And that's basically overall big picture. What did you find in this lab? Okay, if you have any questions, please reach out to your teachers. Hopefully this was a good example of what you missed from being out or being on quarantine. And like I said, if you have any questions, please feel free to reach out to your teachers. Thank you so much.